Good evening and happy Monday, everyone. This is Chief Meteorologist Jeff George with your UCN Weather Watch update as we start the week. Let's get right to it because, as usual, we have a lot going on, lots to talk about. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Barron system and see what's going on as far as showers and thunderstorms, any kind of severe weather, maybe across the south. And we have a lot of wet and stormy weather, actually, as you can see. Let's say from east, southeast Texas, and that shoots all the way up to Louisiana into parts of Arkansas and Tennessee. So we're talking about this area here around Texas. Lots of showers and thunderstorms, non-severe thunderstorms actually. And it's kind of a broken line through Arkansas, Tennessee, like I was saying. We have another batch over here leaving Mississippi, heading towards Alabama. So you guys will have a stormy evening. Again, nothing widespread severe. Of course, got to respect that lightning, maybe some small hail and gusty winds. And down here right along the Mississippi coast, looks like around, somewhere in between Biloxi and Mobile, Alabama. Some showers and thunderstorms will track right across I-10 the way it's looking right now. Alrighty. And if we head north, there's not a whole lot going on until you get to the far northern section of the U.S. Let's go ahead and shoot up there. And this is where you see some severe thunderstorm warnings. And they go all the way over here, actually, which is a little bit weird for parts of Montana and Wyoming. Severe thunderstorm watch. And we have another watch in this pinkish salmon area right there. Yeah, I don't know why. The Weather Service always puts that weird color on a severe thunderstorm watch sometimes. But again, we have storms here. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. And let me get that telestration off there. It can be annoying. And those are pretty nasty looking storms, actually. And they're around Rochester, heading to Winona, north of La Crosse. And they're pretty spread out. Now, those are not severe, but they are strong and heavy, that's for sure. And they're booking it to the east. And if I was to go ahead and zoom out a little bit more, and let's go ahead and put the severe thunderstorm watches on the map here so you can see. Let's put the radar back on first. And take a look at the watches and warnings that we have across the U.S. Okay. And again, as far as severe thunderstorm watches and warnings, we just have those two. And then look at all these orange and purplish colors up here in the northeast, the Ohio Valley, heading into West Virginia, all the way up to New York. Those are heat alerts for some pretty nasty heat, and it's just disgusting up there. And it's something they're not really used to. So we have record-setting heat indices above 100. And if you live down here in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast and the South U.S., you're like, big deal. And because it's not a big deal to us, but it is to them, and it's very dangerous because upper 90s heat indices around or above 100. For us, it's like a day in the park. That's what we signed up for. For them up there up north, they're not used to that kind of stuff. They're not built like that. Okay, but anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the Storm Prediction Center, the severe outlook for the rest of the evening. And as you can see, some marginal strong storms, Texas Panhandle up towards Kansas. And you see that big yellow blob where we have the severe thunderstorm watches. That's where severe weather and severe thunderstorms are most likely the rest of the evening into the overnight hours. And that does include, again, the Dakotas into Nebraska, parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, even parts of Iowa, actually. It's mostly going to be a wind and hail thing. Some isolated tornadoes, of course, are possible in that area, too. And then, let me get that off. Let's go to the Storm Prediction Center's page here. And this is day 2. So day 2, a cold front will slide a little bit farther to the south and to the east. And severe weather tracking across some of the same places where it's at right now. Kansas into Iowa, Nebraska, big chunk of Minnesota and parts of Wisconsin. That's tomorrow. Tornado threat mainly up near the Great Lakes in Minnesota. Again, it's mostly going to be a wind and hail thing, pretty damaging stuff. And then as we go into Wednesday this week, there's no areas painted right now for severe weather. A big area of thunderstorms, just general thunderstorms, a couple isolated strong and severe weather. Severe thunderstorms are not out of the question, of course, but overall, as far as severe weather goes, yeah, not too exciting this week. No huge widespread events, no outbreaks are expected, and that's great. The only outbreak that we're expecting, of course, is the heat, the heat outbreak, so to speak, and the heat wave that we have going on from the central, really from the south to the central and parts of the north and northeast U.S. One of the other things I wanted to show you here on our Barron system that's kind of cool, and this will take us right into our tropical update also, is that we have potential tropical cyclone 1. So we have our first numbered system out there, and more than likely we're going to have our first named system. Tropical storm is likely to form over the next 24 to 48 hours, and that will be Alberto. Okay, this is the National Hurricane Center's track of this potential tropical cyclone. And then I want to show you the spaghetti models, because this is what the tropical models have been kicking out the past couple of days. This is current, and you can see the models are pretty much all bunched up in the same place. So what I wanted to point out is, like, when you see these spaghetti plots and these spaghetti noodles, the closer they are, the more confidence we have in the track of this system. So when you see them all bunched up like that and jumbled up, that means confidence is high, and we have agreement and consensus on these models of where this system is more than likely to go. And as you can see, if I zoom out a little bit more, it's going to go a little bit north and take a sharp left turn right into Mexico and just miss the southern tip of Texas. Okay, and believe it or not, like I said, this is when confidence is high. The National Hurricane Center uses these tropical models, and that, what proves that? If I go ahead and overlay the latest National Hurricane Center outlook, look at that. That line and the center of that cone tracks right along, okay, where you see those spaghetti models going. And actually be a little bit easier if I go ahead and go to the NHC page, and you can see here, that's the cone. The winds right now are in that area. It's an area of low pressure. Okay, it's not a storm just yet. It's a potential tropical cyclone 1. But as you can see by the forecast, when those white S's turn into a black circle, okay, that's when we're expecting a tropical storm or tropical storm Alberto to form, and that will be somewhere late tomorrow evening into the early parts of Wednesday. It'll stay a storm and not turn into a hurricane as it makes landfall south of Texas along the east coast of Mexico. All right, another cool thing with this Barron system is that if I let's turn off the spaghetti models, okay? And I'll turn on the Hurricane Hunter aircraft. So the Hurricane Hunters did make a trip into the storm a little bit earlier today. Okay. I guess not, I'm sorry, it's not a storm. I keep saying that because it's easy to want to get that out there, that first storm. It's a potential tropical cyclone that's likely going to turn into a storm. Okay, I'm done trying to be technical. But this was the Hurricane Hunter's trip, and it flew right into this area of low pressure, right near the center of it. And you can click on these dots and find out and see what the Hurricane Hunters found out. Wind speeds in the area just outside the area, like the center, this huge big circulation that we have going on. Moderate turbulence as you head farther down south, moderate in cloud. Again, the wind's not too bad, and the Hurricane Hunters usually fly at an altitude somewhere between 8,000 to 12,000 feet, and this flight level was right around 10,000. So they shot in, they went back home. Nothing to write home about just yet, because again, when it becomes a tropical storm, that's when things get a lot more interesting. Okay? But here's what's going to happen though. That storm, even though it goes across or just south of Texas more than likely, the impacts are going to be felt way north of that. So I'm going to show you what you see here is the estimated rainfall between now and Friday. And you see all along the Texas Gulf Coast, this whole area, even into the central parts and just south of DFW, this whole area here, the average rainfall between now and Friday is going to be between 2 and 5 inches. That's just the average. Some places will get a little more, Some places a little less, some places a lot more, because you can see this area right here that I'm circling. It's a orangish gray color, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but there'll be some spots that pick up over 6 to 8 inches of rain along the Texas Gulf Coast. And you look over here towards Louisiana, the average rainfall will be somewhere in between 1 to 4 inches. Some places will pick up a little bit over 4 along the Louisiana coast. Okay, but the mother lode of the rain and the boatload of it's going to happen in central and south Texas. So of course that means some localized flooding, maybe some widespread flooding. So you folks be very, very careful driving around. And this is an area actually that's, that could use some rain. Okay. And then if I wanted to show you one more thing, the Weather Prediction Center also is they verify this flooding situation in several different ways. So if we go to day 2 and day 3 of their forecast, you can see that exact same area is under a slight to moderate risk of flooding. And this area here that we were highlighting for some places getting over 6 to 8 inches, almost 3 inches or more are very likely. And parts of southwest Louisiana under a marginal risk of flooding. Just for a little bit of a backup, right? Okay, and then, but the heat's going to be the big story this week across the central and south U.S. So you can't really see these numbers. I'm not going to make you squint too hard and give you a headache. So let me zoom in a little bit more so we can see this a little bit better. But and these are heat indices, by the way. Okay, and this is for tomorrow afternoon. You can see heat indices across a big chunk of the central, south, and northeast U.S. to include the Great Lakes, somewhere in the 90s, some places well over 100, especially in these areas that are under that heat alert and those heat advisories and that kind of thing. Okay, so very sweaty. So down, Texas, Louisiana, very soaky, very sloppy rains coming in, just a big mess. When it's not raining, it's going to be grossly hot and humid between any kind of showers and thunderstorms. And then the central and northeast U.S. under no threat of severe weather this week, but severe heat, extreme heat. So you folks got to be really, really careful. And then no relief either as we go into, let me move this over here to Tuesday and Wednesday, same kind of heat. So no fun. Got to be really, really careful outside. Okay, so to recap, the bullet points that you see here just to the left of my face, severe risk tomorrow, Kansas to Minnesota, no severe thunderstorm risk, nothing widespread or significant is expected really nationwide the rest of the week. Good stuff, but that's mainly because we're sitting under a high pressure heat dome, which kind of squashes thunderstorm chances in the areas that you see there under the extreme heat for the rest of the week. Watching the tropics, get ready sometime late tomorrow into early Wednesday to have Tropical Storm Alberto in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. But as we talked about also, the storm itself, the center of circulation, will hit south of Texas, east Mexico coast, and then central South Texas, flooding rains, average 3 to 5 inches, 2 to 5 inches, some places over 6 to 8. And those are the big weather stories this week. That's what I got for you. And by the way, historically, the first named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, it's usually around June 20th. So we're about a week early, so it's not too far off. We're kind of in the ballpark a little bit. But hey, I'll let you go for your Monday evening. I'm going to post a video a little bit later on this evening also. And I'm going to be posting videos pretty much every day this week. For this evening, the topic is how to spot the difference between a trustworthy forecast and clickbait weather. So if you're tired of getting fooled and baited and screwed over by looking at a forecast only to not be wrong or just to kind of throw you off a little bit, I'm going to help you get past all that. All right? So for the UCN weather team, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jeff George. You all stay safe and cool this week. Oh, and united is strength.